Hello, everyone, and welcome out to The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, a podcast where I sit down with some of my friends in the local Columbus, Ohio theater, film, and improv scene and talk a bunch of geeky stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad, but all of it definitely geeky. If you enjoy our programs, be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and to leave a review, or subscribe and leave a review wherever you can get podcasts. Support for this podcast comes from our lovely backers on Kickstarter. Like Casey May, for example. Casey is one of my favorite dudes ever. He's been on a few episodes of the podcast, actually, and he's such a great guy, and he's such a nerd. He's also one of those people that I've seen grow and become a better human being, and it's such a great thing to witness. And I just mean like he's getting himself more together, getting more organized, which to me is an adult. And here's the thing. I'm almost 40 and I'm not really there yet. So it's always good to see someone who's like, going up a notch in the evolutionary scale. So Casey, thank you so much for backing us on Kickstarter. It means the world to me. And thank you. Our official sponsor of the show is Audible. With over 200,000 titles to choose from, get one audiobook and 2 Audible originals each month included with your trial, even once your trial ends and normal membership begins. How rad is that? Best part is you own your library, meaning you keep the books even if you cancel with Audible. Plus, you get easy exchanges. So, don't love a book? Swap it out for free anytime. Sign up for your free trial over at audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Download the Audible app and start enjoying your new audiobook. We're also part of the It's All Been Done Presents Network, a Columbus, Ohio-based multi-platform creative network. Let us entertain you. We're also voted one of Columbus's top picks for 2017 and 2018. And we have tons of podcasts, written works, reviews, videos, and more. For more information, go to iebdpresents.com. In this episode, I am here with Diantha Hillenbrand, and we sit down and talk about the movie Late Night on this episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. A word of warning, though, that there will be spoilers aplenty, not just on this, but just about anything we may talk about. So, listeners, beware. Is there anything you want to say about Late Night? Join in our conversation by interacting with us via social media or email. Twitter and Instagram, username GoodBadGeeky. Facebook URL is facebook.com/GoodBadGeeky. Or email me at, goodbadgeeky@gmail.com. We may read your comment on the show at a future date. Okay, enough said on my end. Will, roll 'em. Did you watch the movie?
I did.
Okay. What did you think, just quick hits of the movie? Like a too long didn't read or couldn't hear, what would you...
Okay, actually, I have something for that.
Oh, yay.
So, before coming into the movie...
Yes.
And I'm going to make this little preemptive speech very, very short before I get to the point. I was very excited to see it because Emma Thompson was in it, for one. And I went into it not knowing anything. And I'll tell you what, I was afraid of 3 things.
Okay.
That I didn't want to happen because I love Emma Thompson and I didn't want her tarnished by it. I didn't want to see a general politically driven film. I didn't want to see a film that was specifically about feminism, and I didn't want to see a movie where she's just a lesser awesome version of what's-her-face, Meryl Streep from Devil Wears Prada. Do you know what I'm talking about? That same kind of hard boss lady kind of character.
Yeah, and it ends up having a heart of gold for just the right person.
Yes, and it was none of those things. Now, there were themes that were similar, but what the impression I got from... It's a movie that takes place in modern times, so all the social justice stuff is... It exists, but the point is that it's all kind of unimportant, and you kind of get the sense from everybody, even her, like even in the jokes, they just don't, whatever, just write them and make them clever. People love it, but that's not what was important about it. It was, and I liked that wasn't the focus. In fact, that was. It was just. It
was mildly a subplot, though, at least from her perspective, just because, and I'm just saying that. being that there have been one or two women's restrooms that are very nice that I've been to in my life, and I've been to a few bathrooms because everyone has to go to the bathroom. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
There are times where, especially if there's only like one stall or whatever for everything, pee and twosies, you have to go to another place. And oh look, there's nobody here. It's a big building, and the women's restroom's available. And you go in, there's like a fucking chair, and there's like nice smelling things in the air. And it's like, why can't the guys have some nice smelling shit?
Because they don't hang out in the bathroom. A lot of women apparently. I learned this recently that women
you hang out in the bathroom.
Yeah, that women hang out in the bathroom, and I learned that women hang out in the bathroom because of the movie Booksmart.
Oh, that's the movie you learned that from?
Yeah.
That's so
I was like,
interesting.
women hang out in the bathroom? That makes sense why there's like chairs. Why, because they do apparently.
Well, okay, so growing up, I just remember that was always a thing. If it was like a rom-com and there was a date, and then they didn't want to be there on the date, it was a double date though, or something, like it wasn't going well for someone. It's like, if you excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom. And she's like, oh, I'll join you. And then they can go talk about. So like, I always knew that was a trope for me. That's why I'm just like, really, Booksmart was the one. Which, by the way, Booksmart is an amazing movie.
It literally is my favorite movie in the last 5 years. I absolutely adore Booksmart.
I really just wish I had the song edit. I know the song, well, not off the top of my head, but like I have a playlist where I can search and find it.
I'm pretty sure it's on Spotify actually, and I know what song you're talking about.
From the opening of the movie.
Yeah,
it's I think it's Lizu or something like that.
I don't
but it's
know
like
the
boys.
name. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's edited in a certain way where it cuts out most of her singing, but it's just focusing on that awesome beat. And I think she says like, da 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 da. Are we going to school like this? Nope. All right, cool. I was just asking. That whole thing. It was, and then they cut the music out, so they're just dancing like idiots. So it's just, they're not. You know what I mean? Like, they could be making themselves look really bad, but they don't care, and that's amazing. Because I would fucking care.
It was an amazing experience because essentially the friendship between the two main girls I had in college with a girl named June, and in fact, Molly. It was Molly, right? Molly looks exactly like June, and I was freaking the hell out in the theater, and I was like texting the theater, going, "Are you watching this movie?" Blah 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 blah. But well,
and they also subvert some of the jokes in that movie too. Like when they're in the car with Jason Sudeikis, you're like, "Don't plug it in. Porn's gonna play," and then it doesn't play, and you're like, "Oh, okay, well, that's," and then it still happens though, and it's like, and he's just like, what does he say? He's just like, must be some kind of new club music. Like, and the thing is you don't know if he's fucking sincere or not because he is an adult, and adults aren't always clued into what's going on. Yeah, Booksmart was great. But late night, though, it does tackle a little bit of like the whole guys going to the women's bathroom thing, because that's what started this whole little tangent.
Yes.
But that is sad though, because like even if she wanted to cry and be alone, she couldn't be alone because was it number 2 has to go take a shit. Oh,
that scene bothered me so much. And I knew, like, not because I thought it was a bad scene. I mean, like, it just...
Well, no, you feel for her.
Yeah.
And what's also... But I will say this, though, too, is that the one lead... was it number 7? I can't remember the character's name, but I remember the numbers, though. Isn't that so weird?
It was so helpful, actually, and I was just kind of like, this is supposed to sound like a bad thing, but now I remember who everybody is.
Yeah, I think the big fat guy was either 1 or 2, and he's the one, he's like, I'm so sorry, but I gotta get through. And she's just like, Jesus, really? And so he's like, yes. And then who was the asshole who ended up sleeping with both of them? Was he number 6?
Hugh Dancy.
Yeah, he...
Number 6, yeah.
Number 6. His character was sucky because he came off as the, I'm your friend in the room. Mm-hmm. I'm going to help you through this. It'll be fine. But it's like, no, he's just he's a dick.
You know what's really sad is because I've fallen for guys like that before, and immediately when he just was, like the whole pack was just not accepting her, and immediately he's the friend guy, and immediately asking her out, my back went up, and I chided myself, going, no, just like that's horrible that would be, that I immediately assume that of him. I'm like, he's being nice. And then it happened, and I'm like, great.
Well, so I was worried that she was going to fall in love with the jerky guy, number 7, who was the head monologue writer, or the only monologue writer, as he would constantly remind everyone. It's like, yeah, well, that's true. You haven't fucking reminded any of us of that in the last 5-10 minutes. Jesus. And so... But it ends up being that he's the good friend.
Yeah.
But granted, I mean, she did have to work to prove herself to him for that, which was nice. You know, well, it sucks that she had to do that he wasn't, but it was also, I'm trying to put in context how the story laid it out. Like, it didn't matter if it was a girl or a guy to me. If someone showed up and they had 0 experience, but they got the job,
I would be ticked.
You'd be kind of ticked, and I would hope I wouldn't be an asshole about like he was, but granted, Hollywood is a different beast. So like a politically correct conversation is go fuck yourself to some people, and it's not personal, it's business kind of mentality. It's if you're not used to that, it's really fucking jarring. Yeah. But I mean, he's not wrong in that, like, he or she, whoever you are, you didn't fucking work to get here. And she's like, well, it's better than fucking nepotism with your brother. And I'm glad the funnier person got hired, which I was like, yes, such a great fucking response. And also props for the producer guy. Yeah. Now, granted, I think he was in a bind, but like, she genuinely made him laugh, and he's just like, you know what? Let's do this. Yeah. It didn't help, though, for convenience sake, that she was also yelling at him to just fucking hire somebody. But that was good. Like, she did work her way up. She started writing material and help the show, which was her job. Now, also, do you feel bad for Seth Meyers? Just a little bit, because like he hired her, like for realsies, for realsies, and then she just because I was like, well, you have Colbert show, which this is funny. Seth Meyers is the one that she had in the movie, but the Colbert, Stephen Colbert show, Late Show with Stephen Colbert. See, I'm stuck saying Colbert because that's not actually how you pronounce his name. It's Colbert, or Colbert with the T. Oh, you actually pronounce the T? Yeah, you do. He did that on the other show because it's not really him. It's a character he's playing. Okay. Where he's actually making fun of the conservatives, because he's just like, don't you just hate all those poor people? I know I sure do. Today on the Stephen Colbert Report, and he's just like, no, I would never really, I hate that people think that way. Yeah. I am Stephen Colbert. But it's weird, so I always still call him... I don't even think I'm saying it right still, but you do pronounce the T, and I just know it's so weird. Because... Anyway, I still call him Stephen Colbert, because it just sounds nicer. It does. Colbert is... She talked about that on the show when she was on to promote the movie. She's like, yeah, I thank you guys so much. I got to interview you. I got to interview every one of your writers. Aww. Like, she studied for like 2 weeks at that show. And I was like, where the fuck where are those guys? And I don't know if maybe it was, but I was just like, aren't you mad that you're, well, he's not his direct competition, but like the guy on the other network is there? And I was like, that feels weird to me. But no, I felt kind of bad for Seth Meyers because he gave her a shot. He's like, you're really funny. I like your jokes. Please don't do that again, and you're hired. Because she started doing a typical movie character thing, guy or girl, where they just start rambling about like the horrible experience. Usually it's dating somebody. Yeah. Where it's like, I couldn't believe, and it's like they have the epiphany of like, oh my God, though, like they're a good person and I love them. Oh my God. But she's like, oh my God, I enjoyed working for her, even though she was a real pain in my ass. And he's like, I hope you never talk about me that way. Oh, no. I won't. Well, good, because your joke's funny, you're hired. And you're just like, well, that's awkward. And then I thought, oh, maybe the happy ending here would be she asks Seth for can I go back and write this one last thing for her? Mm-hmm. And they have like a parting, like, so she still goes off and she does great things in Seth Meyers' room, but in that room, like, she begins the storm of change. Yeah. She still becomes friends with number 7. Yes. And, and maybe that some kind of feeds into that. But, like, that's what I thought was going to end, because I was like, this movie's kind of taken no prisoners with shit. Yeah. And I'm thinking, but then he went for the super mega happy ending, which is where Seth Meyers got fucked over, and then Emma Thompson, which she should have. Yeah. I don't know what, sorry, I had to get this out. John Lithgow did an amazing job. Mm-hmm. And I just want to see all the things with John Lithgow.
Yeah.
Because he's so good.
And he's so sweet.
He is. Oh, and here's the thing. I thought was very interesting. The turn they gave him was like where he meets her in the theater at the end. He's just like, when he forgives her, he's just like, they always told me when I left my wife and my child for a younger British woman that karma, and then years pass. And you're just like, oh, that, okay. So, okay. It was a nice character turn that you didn't expect because you're just saying, oh, it's the old man with Parkinson's, and you feel instantly sad for him because she cheated on him, and granted, she feels really bad about it, but he doesn't maybe know that yet. All this other conflicting feelings, and then he busts that out, and you're like, oh, well, you're kind of a dick too. Yay! Forget this together.
Well, in other words, and just like he said, the ratio was that you're one not so great moment, and then the rest of the million other beautiful moments
outweigh that. The ratio is
it doesn't cancel them out.
See, I thought that was the only problem though is that in that case though, I think that comment is well deserved because you could see some asshole guy busting that one out, and you're just like, no, you don't fucking mean that. But like, no, he genuinely does, and she genuinely did feel bad about it. You could tell, which was interesting because usually that character in movies like this, like in Devil Wears Prada, doesn't show any weakness.
Yep.
Even like towards the end of the movie, she doesn't really show weakness. Matter of fact, she gets even angrier, or madder, or he does, depending on if it's a guy or a girl. No, yeah, and Mindy Kaling did a wonderful job.
She did
really good, and she wrote it too.
I saw that.
Right? Wasn't that like?
Yeah, that's so cool.
Which is because she wrote on The Office.
Yep.
And did you ever watch Doogie Howser when you were little?
No.
Okay. Well, then this fucking means nothing to you. But Vinny, his best friend, was the guy she shared an office with.
All right.
Who, and this is true by the way, I know one or two writers. And they've talked about, like, until they became showrunner, and even then, they didn't pack stuff up in their office, or pack stuff out of their boxes to put up, unless it was like a real quick picture frame, and like maybe one or two things. Because the moment they do, the show gets canceled. Or they get fired, it's a number of things. So it's technically the same thing, but like they could get fired before the show gets canceled, and it's a bummer. And so I was just like, there are people that have been in shows for like years, like, and they're good. Like, for example, NCIS is going to go for another 10 years, probably, sadly. But that one guy who's been on the show the whole time, he's not. He might not be unpacking his stuff because he's like, I could get fired or the show could get canceled. I'm not doing it. It's just a weird thing I have, and you're just like, damn, that's. Yeah, there's some real truth bombs that are in there with like little personality types and all that.
Speaking of truth bombs, and just
tell me more.
Okay. Well, I appreciated that a lot of the times the movie was uncomfortable because, and I mean that in a good way.
Yes.
Because they would have a certain uncomfortable conversation, or there'd be an uncomfortable interchange, and the way people talk, some of the dialogue sounded like just really weird, awkward ways that people actually talk to each other, as opposed to it being perfectly written. There were a couple of dialogue interchanges that was like, that seems more realistic. It seemed very less cinematic and more just like, okay, I'm just watching people talk at the moment.
But I love that, and because look, I also at the same time, it's like when you watch Aaron Sorkin. Or Kevin Smith.
Yep.
They're very different spectrums, but in both of those types of programs, if they wrote it, someone's going to fucking monologue.
Yep.
Now, one's going to be about dick and shit jokes and comic book superheroes. The other one's going to be probably politically bent. And there's a cadence to both.
Yes.
Yeah. That's okay to watch sometimes, too. But every once in a while, I would like to just see. I like when there's normal dialogue and conversations. Like, I love that in movies.
Yeah, and there was a couple of random quote unquote, like shots that really didn't do anything for the story, but were necessary just because it just was like, this is what they do. This is what, like, there was a shot in the movie where they just focused in on the empty writer's room and on the table show, they just did a full-on close-up of
all the toys.
Of all the toys, and specifically, was it the lion mounting the elephant? Yeah. Just, like, there was a lot of screen time for that.
There was, but I mean, it was legit funny because, but technically, it did further the story.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't think that she didn't really know the writers, that scene said a lot because she seemed very surprised and just like, Jesus, I do not like these people.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, in some cases, if I had control of who I hired, I want to like the person.
Yeah.
And if not, you know, I would try not to work with them.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing here. So like, so that scene to me does have a little merit, but like it does feel kind of out of place because everything else is very talk driven.
Right.
But yeah, I also love too that they kept her strong throughout the whole thing.
Yes.
She wasn't, which was nice, and she, like a real person, would have her Emma Thompson's Catherine. Is that her name? Catherine, I think. She would go in and out of how people's mood just changes. Like, I like you, but you know what? I don't fucking care about you. You're fired. I don't. And you know what? I thought nothing of it. And you're just like, damn, that's harsh. And B, like a day or so ago, she absolutely adored her.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, not a day or so ago. Like, she was in her bungalow for, like, what, a week or two. So before the news broke.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, she was the only person that we know of checked on her, which, you know, fucking props for that. But sometimes you don't... That's what I'm saying. You don't see shit like that when you're in the moment that she's experiencing. Because that's the other thing, too. Politically, this is where it goes into what you were saying earlier. They do the Me Too movement thing, but it's roles reversed where she's the proprietor of the sex act, causing it with one of the men that she hires on her show, who happens to be the jackass that sleeps with Mindy's character, or number 8, as she's also known as. No, like, I really do go around the room and like, yeah, those are the numbers.
Well, it helped because they sat in order all the time. They had their spots. So
I think they did that on. I think if you gave me a number, and then we had to go reconvene in the same room, and you're going to call me the number, I'm going to fucking sit in the same spot. And if not, I will punch somebody.
Yep.
Because I'm getting paid a lot of money to have this lady yell at me. I want her to yell at me for one less thing.
Yes. Yes.
Well, so that's another story arc too, where she hasn't been in her writer's room or actually even seen her writers, except for maybe the monologue guy, number 7, for what? But they said it was about 10 years, 8 years. It's been
something like that.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that Mindy's number 8, her character says is like, no one's allowed on the floor. It's like, just me, but I write monologue jokes. That's the only reason why I'm allowed there. And even then I have no say, I have no input, no nothing. And it's just like, that to me is weird because knowing how some shows work, like Colbert and Seth Meyers and all those guys, sometimes they have writers on the floor, so if they need to throw a joke in or something, or they can work with him in between commercial breaks.
Sure.
To punch up the jokes, but the fact that she doesn't have that, it's very telling of her character, and it's also just like, Jesus, what kind of fucking place are we running here? Yeah, which, by the way, also, I love that they brought that thing back where he's like, here, let me get you a chair. Or she's like, I need a chair, I don't have. It's like, well, there's a trash can right there you can sit on. And he meant it in the most loving way, which was, that was her roommate. And also, he kept something when she left.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet.
It was very sweet. He was actually a really nice guy, too. He was also just like, which is true, I've heard this in other writers' rooms, when people have done interviews where it's like, you gotta fucking write something. Yep. Especially SNL.
Yep.
It's like, there are 10 cast members who are all writers that are trying to get their shit picked by Lorne Michaels so they can go out and be on camera.
Yep.
Because if not, you get fired.
Yep.
And now you also have a staff of 20 writers who are hired to help you write or just write. And so then there's a weird game of, I just remember Conan O'Brien and other people, John Lovitz, they'd always talk about how, like, Phil Hartman, he didn't have to write anything because he's Phil Hartman.
Yep.
He could do anything. But like other people like Lovitz or Rob Schneider, or they had to like work really hard. David Spade had a lot of problems getting in. I've heard him do interviews on where it's because he can't get his script in.
Oh dear.
And so he started taking off doing was it the Weekend Update? He would do like the Hollywood part where he would just rip everybody to shreds, because that's that's David Spade's humor in real life.
Yeah.
And it got popular, and he also created a lot of enemies. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you had to work to do that, and if not, like, you get fired, or you just feel horrible and you quit. Like, Ben Stiller couldn't get anything on. He wasn't liking the process, and he's like, I can't do this. So, of course, the answer is, which was really great, was, yeah, you need to write something.
Yep. That
will make people realize what the hell you're doing. And and please don't cry. It makes me feel weird. Really,
that's a real reaction.
It kind of is. Yeah, well, it depends too. Like, in his case, it's like, I don't really. It's, in my opinion on that would be, I don't know you that well.
Yep.
I don't know how to handle this right now.
Yep.
Now, if he's a typical New York guy trope, which he probably is in some level, which is, ooh, women crying, ooh, don't talk to me about feminine stuff, which all the guys in that room kind of did that for the sake of a joke, kind of, and a story point. It's just like, ooh. But, no, I really enjoyed Late Night. I actually have no bad thing really to say about that movie.
Yeah.
Like again, I thought it was going well. Like, I was waiting for something to happen in this movie that made me just not like it.
Yeah,
or just like
same.
Something for me to nitpick. And I really can't nitpick. Matter of fact, everything. It's one of the reasons why I allowed us to talk about other stuff, because I was like, I don't think I have anything bad to say about this movie whatsoever at all, because it's a legit good movie.
It was actually kind of refreshing to see just it was just a story about people doing this, and this is what it is, and these are human beings having a human thing, and that sounds blah, but there's so many movies with CGI and superhero, and I love it. And I'm a big fan, but I'm like,
yeah,
you're just like, I can just sit and just, it's like, it's like watching a play. Like, you just sit and you're just watching just a story.
Right, which is nice. Now, I like Hollywood stuff, so for me, it was also like extra geekery going on for me.
Sure, yeah.
But, because I'm also just like, which one is some of the writers from The Office? Because I forget, it was in the same interview, she's like, yeah, I would say maybe one or two characters are based after some people in The Office, but they were actually very nice to me. This is not what it was in the movie, and I don't want to get that opinion out there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because Michael Schur, who does The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Rec, he was one of the writers she's mentioning, and then the guy who played Ryan, I can't think of his name right now, him and her both were kind of the head writers at one point, or like doing some heavy writing on the show, which is one of the reasons why they were there. They needed extra people, and they were writers on the show. Matter of fact, I think that was something that someone told her on the show, is like, you need to write something for The Office to get it, because if not, you're just watching us talk and whatever and fight or whatever. Anyway, yeah, I literally have nothing else to say about the Late Night. It's a wonderful movie. I hope people see it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I like Godzilla and the Avengers and Toy Story and Men in Black, whatever the fuck they are. But this was a very refreshing, like a nice little break to, And I have not seen John Wick 3 yet at the time of this recording.
Yeah, me neither. And I am just...
Have you seen 2?
I love John Wick. I've seen 1 and 2. I adore John Wick.
Is it just because he got mad and killed someone because they killed his puppy?
Well, I mean, that's...
Now, granted, that's the base level for people who've never seen it. It's really much more...
It's a lot more complicated than that. It's a fun thing to joke about because that was the butterfly effect. That was the thing that pretty much toppled everything that was boiling over.
Right. Well, his wife, who died of cancer or some disease, gave that to him, and he gave up everything for her.
Yep.
And her thing was like, you need this dog more than me, more than you sulking or whatever. Like, this dog will love you or whatever just as much as me. It's like, imagine this dog is me, and then the dog gets killed, and you're just like... Oh, you killed his wife in dog form?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's like, Alfie from fucking Game of Thrones, buddy, you need to get the fuck out of there. Yeah. Or I just like the part, too, that he was, his dad was just like, I should just let you fucking die. I should just tell John where you're at and let him kill you, but he's not going to stop there.
Yep.
And then it became a thing, he's like, no, he's my son. But they fixed that in the second one. The one dude who always plays the weird Russian-like bad guy in like Fargo, and he played one of the nihilists in The Big Lebowski. he was in the beginning of John Wick where he beats the shit out of the guy because they stole his car from the chop shop.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
And remember, that's the bad guy from the first. Not the son, the father. Mm-hmm. That mob boss. It's his brother.
Son of a bitch.
And that's why he's kind of going. He's like, why do you have my car? and that's why he's like. That's why he's nervous because he's like, my rest of my family's fucking dead. Are we cool? We're cool. Yeah. They drink the... Whoa. Yeah. By the way, it's a great time to be a Keanu Reeves fan, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Toy Story 4, he plays... Was it something Kaboom?
Oh, speaking of Toy Story...
Oh, yes. What?
I saw this great thing on the internet the other day where it was showing the evolution of Toy Story films.
Yes.
And it like the first one was, Toy Story the first. It was... toys having fun, being self-aware kind of thing. Like it's just and then Toy Story 2 realizes their own inner mortality and emotions, and then Toy Story 3 just like...
Let's think about death.
Yeah, think about death. And then they said Toy Story 4 they realize that their existence is manic and that they start going crazy. Like there's like their picture of the fork guy.
Oh, Sporky.
That's
Forky. Something like Sporky. I think it's Sporky because he's a spork.
There was kind of like a horrifying tinge to it. And then they said that Toy Story 5 would be Woody ascending to heaven to go kill God or something. Like it was like that escalated quickly.
I've supposedly heard that this movie is the end of Woody. Like Woody is off the franchise after this. And I don't know if that means he dies or anything like that. I think though it's like he's the lead character kind of that you followed in all the movies. Like Buzz became the secondary character, but it's always been about Woody and his view on things. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little trepidatious because to me, I thought 3 was a great way to end the whole thing. I did kind of feel like it was a Deus Machina. Am I saying that right? A Deus Machina.
Deus. That's what I'm going to call it from now.
A Deus Machina. It's where they take a giant shit in a movie because things just happen. The fuck, Pixar. No, it made sense once you saw it, but like, because I just remember it's like, when even Woody of all people, like, Buzz looks to Woody like, what are we going to do to get out of this? And he's just like, let's just hold hands and go down together. And you're just like... The fuck is this? Like, and there's a part of me that really wishes they would have gone through with it because I was like, well, that's the end of the movie. It is what it is. Like, well, Toy Story's done, or we go to a new set of toys.
Oh,
but
abandonment. That's what it was. It was like toys having fun being toys. Toy Story 2 dealing with abandonment. Toy Story 3 dealing with mortality. Toy Story 4 dealing with psychosis.
Or its acceptance of the banality of being a toy.
Yeah.
Well, I think half a year ago when we started season 13 up for GBG, I think I made a declaration that I think Bo Peep is the bad guy. And I don't think she is anymore, which I'm not going to lie, makes me kind of sad because I thought that would be really a neat turn.
What a twist.
What a twist. Is that Bo Peep? Well, there was, in the first trailer they showed, they actually had clips from the movie and it wasn't made for the trailer. There was a scene where she's like, you don't have to do this anymore, Woody. Like, no one, like, toys are on their own. And so I thought... Yes, there might be another bad guy, but she'll be the final unintentional antagonist and then she'll actually win, which is Woody and her will go off and he'll just be like, fuck Bonnie. That's what I kind of think is going to happen. And here's the thing, if they still do that, I could still kind of be right, but like I thought like to the point where she would stop him like with force.
Yeah.
And not just take her hook or her whatever.
Her staff.
Her crook.
Her crook.
That's what they call it, right? The shepherd's crook?
I'm not
sure. And they loop him around the neck, and she pulls him close. And he's like, "You shouldn't go, Woody."
And then, like,
then he just goes, "There's a snake in my boot." Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, and then it just, before you get the real reveal, it's just like a dun dun dun, and then the lightning goes, and you kind of see a silhouette of Bo Peep's crook, and you're like, oh, it cannot be.
It's like, no, it was you the whole time.
Thwarted again.
Thwarted. Meanwhile, Spanish Buzz is doing a tango.
Flame, or she just goes crazy like Madeline Kahn. Flames off the side of my face.
Oh my god, that is a great movie. I remember they showed that on HBO all the time, but when they showed it on HBO, they showed all 3 endings.
Really?
Yeah, and that was kind of the joke. It's like, or it could have happened like this.
Well, did you hear about when they actually showed Clue and not everyone saw the same ending?
No.
They would go into the theater and,
right.
How genius is that?
That is so cool. I think that is rad as fuck, and I don't know. Here's the thing, man. Studios aren't going to do that shit anymore.
No.
Which makes me
it's sad.
Bummed. I hate Hollywood sometimes.
Oh my gosh, speaking of hating Hollywood, and I know I'm behind on the times here because this is not really news, but because we were talking about T.R.A.C.E earlier, have you heard of the Prelude to Axanar? So there was a fan-made... I'm going to get some details wrong, I know it.
Is it the Kickstarter thing?
No.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe you'll recognize what I'm saying and no. There was these people that made a fan-made movie.
Sure.
And it was really good quality, and it was kind of a documentary type, so it kind of made it feel like the 4 Years' War of the Klingons was real, because they had and some really legit actors actually donated their time to do this little short film.
Okay.
And Paramount got involved and sued them because it was just too good, even though the people suing them in Paramount hadn't really even ever seen Star Trek. And it's like, no, you're ruining the whole spirit of why Star Trek was created in the first place. They made Star Trek without pretty much any funding because they knew it was for the love of the genre. And then Paramount just put a cut on it. And so, there's just outrage because everyone wants to see more parts of this Prelude to Axanar. And
okay, if it's what I'm thinking of, they went on Kickstarter and asked for money, but they didn't. They don't own Star Trek, and that's what got them in trouble.
Yes, because it was too good, but there was some. There were some precedents made in this case because there were plenty of people making fan films. It's just this one was too good and got attention.
One of my favorite fan films ever is the Power Rangers one with James Van Der
Holy
Beek.
Shit!
Where
forgot about that.
I mean, fuck. No, but they have a lot of fan films. Like, there's one guy because we're from Ohio. There's one guy in Cleveland that he routinely does Doctor Who 10th Doctor fan films. Really? Yeah.
That's cool.
I forget what one of them is. If I look on Facebook, I could get his info, but I think he has a guy, and he always plays the 10th Doctor for him, and the accent isn't perfect, but it's decent effects for a fan film. But he's also a local filmmaker, so he's learned to do kind of like Robert Rodriguez, where Robert Rodriguez though has Hollywood money. But I would say if you would take the Hollywood money away, I think Robert Rodriguez could do the same thing, which is I'm going to add some special effects through my computer and whoop-a-de-doo. That's how Robert talks. No, the guy, I wish I could remember his name.
Yeah, Robert and I are pretty close.
Yeah, are you? I heard he likes to be called Robbie.
Only,
or Ray.
Only on Tuesdays.
Only on Tuesdays? Damn. Oh, it's Tuesday.
Oh, see now it's okay.
Hey, Ray, what's up, buddy?
Somewhere he's triggered.
Someone said my name. It must be Tuesday. So late night, go see it.
Yeah.
Diantha, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
High five.
Oh, wait, that was
bad. Yeah,
that was bad. I could go.
Jeez! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you showed up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something! Because I'll tell you something! This is a happy place!